From the author of Spinsterella, the strange and unusual romance and spellbound, a darker shade of black comes the legendary Magic Children. Pick up the conclusions of the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers this Halloween. It seems like every time I make a video talking about these simps, somebody gets butthurt in the audience. And when they get butthurt in the audience, they decide to leave some sort of salty comment in the comment section. And I received such a comment on my 2 videos talking about simps in the goth subculture. Now, the first video was called Creepers, Simps in the Goth Subculture, and the second one was called How Women Can Deal with Simps in the Goth Subculture and Creepers. And in that second video, I got a salty comment in the comment section that was filled with some shaming language. And this individual decided to go on to say that it seems like you're empathizing with these women in the goth subculture. However, you seem to be extremely critical of traditional black women in America. And to that I have to say, yes, I do empathize with many women in the goth subculture because I know what they're going through, because I went through it myself in high school and junior high school when I was a preteen and when I was a teenager. So when I hear people telling goth women comments like, I bet you're into BDSM, I bet you're into kinky stuff, and they make all sorts of sexual comments, I understand what they're going through when they hear these kind of comments, because I've heard those kind of comments myself. And when people are making those kind of comments, it shows how insecure they truly are regarding being in your presence, because when you have to deal with someone who's making comments like this, they are extremely uncomfortable about having to deal with someone who is different from who they are and is presenting a different image than what they expect. And because they see the world through rose-colored glasses and they don't want to see reality, they want to try to bring you down to their level, to something they can relate to. And usually the only thing that they believe that they can relate to with you is sex. So they bring you down to a sexualized level because that's all they understand, and that's the only thing that they think that they can relate to you on. So they come to you with these statements because they cannot relate to you, so they want to bring you down to the level of something they can understand. My advice to many of the women in the goth subculture is do not allow anyone to bring you down to their level. If they cannot rise up to your level, then there's no reason to deal with them, because if someone cannot relate to you on your level, then you should not bring yourself down in any way, shape, or form, because when it comes down to people like this, once they bring you down, they want to keep you down, and you should not allow anyone to devalue you or minimize what you are or try to fit you into some sort of box that they believe is acceptable to them. If they cannot take you as you are and accept you as you are, that's not someone you want to deal with. And when it comes down to this simp, he sees the world through rose-colored glasses. And because he sees the world through rose-colored glasses, again, he sees people from a fantasy perspective. And because he sees them from a fantasy perspective, he doesn't want to see real people. He only wants to boil people down into the stereotype categories that he feels that they should be in, because that makes him feel comfortable about being in their presence. This is why he will sit there again and make a statement like, you must be into BDSM, or you must be into some sort of kinky sexual activity, and that will be his opening statement upon first meeting you, and he will sit there and think that this is a perfectly right thing to say, not understanding that you have said something that is completely and utterly offensive. Because if this was a regular woman that you were sitting in front of and you decided you wanted to make a conversation with her, you would be talking about anything else, and you would not be making any sort of statement like this at all. And the other thing with this simp is he'll sit there and make this statement, and he'll have a plain face about it, not looking at the woman's body language or the winced look on her face upon seeing him make this statement, and think that this statement he's making, again, is perfectly fine, not understanding that he has made himself not only look bad with this goth female, but with all the other regular females all around him, because they're looking at his behavior and saying to themselves, look at this idiot, he has no social skills at all, and he has no sort of social demeanor to understand what social boundaries are. So they look at this guy and say to themselves, this guy is not somebody I want to deal with, because in a social situation, he is going to be very embarrassing to be around, because when it comes down to relationships, your woman and your man and the man you're with are supposed to be a reflection of you. And when they see this simp acting out like this, they don't want that out there on them, because it's a bad reflection on them. But you can't tell this simp this, because in many cases, when it comes down to these simps are dumb. They do not understand logic. They do not understand reason. And when you try to present information there to help them, what they will do is try to double down and insist that their way is going to work, and then try to use shaming language to try to silence you, and you're the guy who's trying to help them. Now, this guy also decided in his comment to say that I was being very critical of black women. And yes, I have been very critical of black women in the past, and I still am very critical of black women right now, because when I look at their dysfunctional behaviors, I'm going to call them to the carpet and hold them accountable for their behaviors, because their behaviors are doing damage to the black community. Now, what this guy does not understand is that there are black women in the goth subculture, and his observation was trying to say that I was being empathetic of goth women just because he thought they were white women. No, there have been black women in the goth subculture since its inception. So that argument does not wash with me, because I have numerous black female goth viewers who watch this channel. Excuse me for burping, but on the regular, and they watch and drop comments on the regular. And on one of my videos on simps in the goth subculture, I had a black female goth drop a comment talking about how she had to deal with the same situation. So that proves my point that these creepers and simps are a part of this goth subculture. But what the big problem is with these simps is that they don't want the information coming out about their behavior, how they operate, and how their behavior is dysfunctional. They want to still sit there with their head in the sand, believing that their approaches to women, as clumsy and as awkward as they are going to work. And no, they are not going to work. All you are doing is alienating women, and those women are looking at you and saying, this guy is dysfunctional. When they look at at this simp's behavior, they're saying to themselves, this is all a turnoff to me. But you can't tell the simp this, again, because the simp is dumb, and the simp believes, oh, I can still continue to make these statements and participate in these behaviors, like looking at a woman for way too long, following women around, and I'm going to think that this is going to be perfectly good behavior to participate in. No, this is creepy behavior, and in some cases it's borderline stalking behavior. And these guys don't understand how their behavior is coming across to people. No, instead of trying to listen to what I'm presenting in the video, what these simps are going to do is try to go into some sort of shaming language to try to make me look like the bad guy, when in actuality, this information is here to help not only the goth woman, but also to help him, because that information is showing you what not to do and why it's not working. But you can't, again, the simp is extremely dumb, and sometimes it takes things like severe beatings, restraining orders, and even getting arrested for these guys to understand that their behavior is out of line and is crossing boundaries that is freaking people out. And this is something, again, these simps just don't understand. So when they go into that shaming language talking about black women, that shows me that this guy is extremely butthurt, and he's got to come in with this black woman argument because, again, he's seeing the goth subculture from his rose-colored glasses. And in his rose-colored glasses, he sees goth women as only white women. That, again, that has never been the case since the inception of the subculture in the 1970s, and it has always included black women. It has also included Hispanic women, Asian women, and Muslim women. And all of those women, again, are offended by these behaviors and these statements that these simps make. Because that's all a creeper is. A creeper is a simp who goes to the goth subculture looking to try to pick up women, but because of his poor social skills, winds up creeping all the women in the scene out because he just doesn't understand that his behavior is what's really sick and twisted. His perception of goth women is sick and twisted, and he thinks because this woman comes from an alternative lifestyle that he has an easier opportunity at getting sex with this woman over a traditional woman. Your simp would do this with any woman because in his mind he's looking for the easiest opportunity at trying to get sex. So he thinks the goth woman is easy, just like he thinks other women are easy, like single mothers, like prostitutes, like other other types of females. He just is looking for the easiest opportunity. And again, no woman in the subculture should allow herself to be lowered, have her value lowered by these kind of guys. Because these kind of guys, all they're out to do is lower somebody's value and bring them down to their level. And these guys primarily operate in the sewer. And what they hate is for guys like me to come out here and present information regarding them in a video. But what these guys don't understand is I've already written 4 books on simps. I've written numerous blogs on simps. And I've written numerous men's issues articles about simps. So I have been writing about simps for the last, 5-6 years. And I studied nice guys and beta males for over 10 years. So I know what I'm talking about. So when I look at your behavior and I see your shaming language, I can easily identify it and call it out because I know what you're going to do and how you're going to respond. And when you do make these responses like this, you prove my points about how dysfunctional you simps are and how you don't like to learn from your mistakes. You don't want to listen to anyone. You would rather participate in your simp behavior and then fall on your face. And then once you fall on your face, you want to call women B's and H's. And that's all related to your dysfunction. What these simps also don't know is that many women read my men's issues books. Many women watch my men's issues videos. Many women read my men's issues blogs. And many women learn from my men's issues books, videos, and blogs. And what I wanted to do with the 2 videos about simps in the goth subculture was to help those women who in the goth subculture learn something about men's issues in the same way regular women have learned about men's issues and have learned from my work on men's issues. But these simps, again, they don't want anyone to know because they want easy opportunities at sex, easy opportunities at attention for women, easy opportunities at trying to win the favor and approval of women when they're not winning the attention and approval of women. All they're doing is alienating women while participating in their continued pattern of dysfunctional and sick and twisted behavior. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you'd like to try some of my books, you can go to Amazon.com by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.